in Independence, 75 degrees, so saying 70-mile-per-hour winds there, and 70-mile-per-hour winds, and they're saying the wind threat has been observed, and they have upped that to a 90-mile-per-hour warning. And so if you are in the Independence area, this storm has just moved through. Now this is heading along Highway 20 through the just a border of Buchanan to Delaware, with the potential for some very strong winds surging out ahead of it, possibly some rotation wrapped in there that could lead to a tornado as well. And this is for Manchester and Hazel Green area. And if you're in Masonville, this is knocking on the door there. I'm going through Masonville and unfortunately heading through Monty and toward Ryan, and the strong winds possible down toward Coggin and north of Central City. We also then have the southern part of this storm that could be impacting areas down closer to Cedar Rapids, but we are not seeing the strongest part of that heading into the Cedar Rapids area. It's likely going to be just to the north, but have certainly heard some more lightning and thunder, heard the thunder and seen some lightning around these parts. So right now, the really concern here is into Buchanan, coming out of Buchanan, heading into Delaware counties. And so we have the severe thunderstorm warning that continues there for the 90-mile-per-hour winds, which is a rarity, not something you see often. So if you're in those areas, you're getting a cell phone alert. The sirens are going to go off, and that is because of this storm. And we have the tornado warning potential, but then also the very strong wind potential here as well. And this, as I mentioned, unfortunately, in an area that just got affected by storms on Friday and are still picking up the pieces. And so we have likely some trees and debris sitting around, debris from buildings and homes, unfortunately, and that can easily become projectiles in this wind as we're dealing with this powerful storm here now. So this storm has moved past the Vinton area. We do have currently the storms moving through just east of Independence on Highway 20, and they have issued, I'm just checking in on this warning here, what they're issuing, but there's a lot of them on here. So 60-mile-per-hour winds, and for the northern side of Delaware County, and then still continuing with that 90-mile-per-hour wind. So if you're in Manchester, Monticello, Coggin, around Central City, that's where we have the most intense part of this storm. The City of Independence did sound their sirens, but the wind and rain did just move through. So this kind of all happened as it moved through Independence. We were getting some reports in, and now we have some of this, the intense part of this now moving toward the area where the possibility of rotation exists currently. So if you are in these areas around Manchester, Ryan, Coggin, Hopkinton, Dyersville, and to Delhi, Earlville, and Winthrop, you should already be in your safe place, but Monty to Ryan and Troy Mills, Prairieburg, unfortunately, Castle Grove, Monticello, Langworthy, and just around Worthington, as well as Gilt Edge, and then toward Delaware. You want to make sure that you are in the lowest level of your home. If you know anyone who's about to leave for work, want to just say, stay inside and wait. Just hold on before this storm moves through these areas, and this could continue then toward Dubuque as well and into Dubuque County. So super, super important to just stay inside right now. There's a ton of lightning and thunder. It is going to be incredibly difficult to see what is going on because of the very heavy rain that's happening. You can just feel the moisture outside, and this is going to fuel this storm. So we do have right now these warnings that extend across the area. The National Weather Service has also come out with a severe thunderstorm watch to just cover these storms as they move out to the east here. And we have these storms that are going to continue here through the morning, and the tornado warning at least is until 8 a.m. So I'm I wanted to let you know I am on Facebook Live. If you have to step away from your television, you want to make sure you're getting some coverage. I'm trying my best to handle both right now so I can get information out to as many people as possible. And the National Weather Service saying that they have this, they're continuing this warning. There's some reports around in Delaware County and Manchester for 70-mile-per-hour winds, which is not surprising there. They're trimming this tornado warning to really just now include the Manchester area currently and into Earlville, Delhi. It's going through Masonville, and this is north of Ryan and Hopkinton. However, the potential for very strong winds continues down to the south toward Coggin and Monticello, Ryan, Prairieburg, those areas that were just hit on Friday, and a very unfortunate repeat that we could have at least the strong wind potential there that could lead to some issues certainly right now. So the strongest part of this storm is going into the Manchester area and Highway 13, along Highway 20 and Highway 13. I do want to discuss there are some spots to the north that are dealing with storms. The storms have really just moved out of the Oelwein area and moving into Strawberry Point. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning to the north here, just out of New Hampton, south of Decorah toward Fort Atkinson, and into areas like Monona, West Union, Elkader. We have the potential to see some strong winds around 60 miles per hour there as well. And that is going to also lead to some heavy rain and gusty winds, and that's going to continue into northeast Iowa. And then down to the south towards Cedar Rapids, we are not included in the warnings. These storms are going to scoot to the north of Cedar Rapids. We do have some rain, though, that's coming through. And then there's been some other storms scattered about south of I-80 that have remained below severe limits. So a lot of this now is focused to the east. So that's the important part here, that if you've had storms already move through, I know there were some noisy storms coming through around the just around the Waterloo area earlier this morning. These have now shifted to the east, and we were always expecting to see the storm intensity pick up as we went to the east. We were kind of waiting to see if the storms were going to kind of intensify. And so now we do have that intensification happening, and they've kind of all started to come together. They've organized a bit more, and that's unfortunately resulting in these multiple warnings and concern for very strong winds, 70 to possibly 90 miles per hour, plus that tornado threat embedded within. So the bottom line here is, yes, we have strong storms ongoing, but this risk is going to lie in the eastern part of the area and continue to push to the east and then move out. And so this is going to be at least the end of the line in terms of that severe threat. So let's see. So the storms really setting up along Highway 20, the strongest of those, and not getting any additional information from the National Weather Service. I'm going to see what they've been issuing quite a few warnings here, so I want to make sure I have everything set. So they have, it looks like, lowered that warning threshold to 70 miles per hour. I'm going to double check that we don't have that 90 still. Oh no, so it's still 80. So we have the 80, and then we have a 70 further down to the south. So we have just a number of warnings. So still concerned about 80 mile per hour winds, as well as the threat for a tornado with this storm that is moving through. And then just to the north of Cedar Rapids, still could have some strong winds here of 60 miles per hour north of Springville around Central City and such. But it's this part of the storm here that's going to catch the far northern part of Lynn County that just got hit, and then through Ryan, which I know also had quite a bit of damage from storms on Friday. We do have then the chance for the tornado potential also that could be wrapping up here around Manchester along Highway 20 with some strong winds in the mix there as well. So there's that that issue of the strong winds plus that tornado threat right through Manchester along Highway 20 and then heading toward Earlville, and would be continuing to kind of move due east here and would be around Delaware, Delhi, and split between the Worthington to Dyersville area if it holds together. So in terms of rotation, there's certainly some rotation that's ongoing here. It's hard to tell because there's definitely a surge of winds that is also happening with this. And we have some strong winds happening with this storm right through the heart of Delaware County here. And now the on the southern side, still some gusty winds here that could be 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then through Cedar Rapids, I know some people are asking about the potential in Cedar Rapids. For the most part, yeah, this is passing just to the north of Cedar Rapids, and it seems that we're seeing this really just pass us by to the north. We could catch maybe on the northern edge of town some of the gusty winds with this, but as this moves to the east, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that is issued, but I think once these storms pass, they'll kind of start to let that go. So that's kind of the update there. But the severe thunderstorm watch they have until 2 p.m., but it extends into Illinois. So currently we have severe thunderstorm warning. It still continues for that potential of 80-mile-per-hour winds. Sirens are going to be going off in portions of Lynn County and into portions of course, Delaware County and Jones County because of that 80-mile-per-hour warning. And that is for the southern end of this storm where there's still some very strong winds ongoing. And then we also have the tornado threat embedded within that that's riding kind of right along Highway 20. So going to see if we have any updated information from the National Weather Service, if they're getting any reports so I can pass it along. Going to continue to watch these storms, obviously, and some very dangerous storms, unfortunately, moving through. And this is going to be, like I said, the brunt of our activity for this morning. And these storms we've been watching coming out of the west, they've just started to intensify here. And there's really the core of the strongest storms right on Highway 20, right around Manchester. And that's where the potential exists for 70 to maybe 80-mile-per-hour winds. And that could continue on into the far northeastern corner of Lynn County into Jones County. And then we will continue to watch this move to the east. So in terms of the timing of this, they're moving pretty fast. So storms are moving into Manchester and through Manchester now. I'm going to time this out for those of you to the east so you can get an idea of what to expect. And I apologize for those on Facebook. I'm trying my best to hold on to everything. But we have this storm that is going to be moving to the east and toward Hopkinton around 7:42, so within the next 10 minutes. Cascade around 7:55, Piasta around 8, Dubuque around 8 to 8:10, and into then to cross the Mississippi around 8:15 this morning. So we'll have to watch and see how this holds, but the National Weather Service did now issue a warning for Dubuque County for 70-mile-per-hour winds because of how quickly this is moving to really give them some of that advance warning. So we've been talking about if you are going to have to delay travel this morning because of the potential for some just disruptive weather. And if you're having to head out the door here soon, I would definitely advise if you could stay inside, especially now north of Cedar Rapids is where the bulk of this is happening. So this is north of Cedar Rapids into Manchester, right along Highway 20 toward Dubuque. If you're in any of these areas here northeast of Cedar Rapids, you really want to just wait. And you want to be inside in the lowest level of your home, away from the windows, not looking at things out there, because because especially in these areas like around Ryan and around Central City and Prairieburg and such, where we have all of that damage that occurred, we just have projectiles that are sitting out there. It's not been enough time to clear all of that debris. So really, really want to stay inside and wait for this storm to pass. It is moving through rather quickly, and unfortunately sometimes that can also enhance some of these winds. But then we also have the possibility that within all of this, and it's heavy rain, it's going to lower the visibility. That's also going to lead to very low visibility in terms of seeing anything that's going on in there if there's a tornado wrapped in all of this. So we have sirens going off because of these storms. There's these multiple warnings for very strong winds, and we have now a larger tornado warning that they're going to cover into Dubuque until 8:15. So we are going to hang here until that one is done, until 8:15, and they're going to just cover that potential for some rotation within this storm all the way through Dubuque County, and that covers the entirety of Dubuque County. And so I think what is going on here is that they're seeing the possibility of some multiple pockets of rotation within this storm that could lead to it being issued in such a widespread manner. So that's the concern here, that there could be some spin-ups happening within this storm, as well as the potential for some 70-mile-per-hour winds. So this is all along Highway 20. This includes the rest of then Delaware County and into Dubuque until 8:15 for this storm. And so if you are in Greeley, if you're in Colesburg, if you're in Earlville, if you're in Dyersville, if you're in Worthington and Bankston, Epworth, Cascade and Bernard, Dubuque, of course, Holy Cross, and areas Asbury, Piasta, Graff, then you want to make sure that you are in your safe place and you are staying inside and waiting for this to move through. It should move out of Dubuque County and east of the Mississippi in the next, we're talking pretty much 30 minutes. So if you can just wait to leave, that's going to be the best thing to do right now, as we do have this very strong storm that is coming through that has a potential to produce some spin-up tornadoes, but the concern really there for the very strong winds that's coming through the area. So the warning has been let go down to the south, where we had some concern for strong winds down into Central City and such. That's been kind of let go a little bit. There's another warning that's been issued to the east that is continuing with 80-mile-per-hour winds, or 70-mile-per-hour winds, excuse me. So that is for Anamosa, Monticello, Wyoming, as this storm, as the southern flank of this storm kind of moves in. So Central City, still some 60, 70-mile-per-hour winds. Sirens going to go off for portions of then Jones County here, and Anamosa, Highway 151, Monticello, and such, in the risk of some of these 70-mile-per-hour winds. So I do believe that the warnings have gone to that 70-mile-per-hour threshold. That is an improvement, but we're still talking about obviously a very dangerous storm that can lead to tree damage. This can lead to power outages, and this will continue as we head through this this morning here, and it heads to the east through Jones County and into Dubuque County as it's moving right along Highway 20. So tornado warning continues for Delaware and Dubuque counties until 8:15. And in terms of some of the rotation here, I'm going to see if they're making any remarks about this, but just these rotating areas, just to say that there's these little pockets that are out ahead, kind of nudging out ahead, that could indicate some rotation, but also the concern for some very strong winds that could be in that 70 to maybe 80-mile-per-hour threshold. And so that's where the warning comes from, and the concern that they really want everybody to be inside. There's a ton of warnings going on here, so I am trying to make sure I have all of the correct information, but we have seen some reports of around 70-mile-per-hour winds, and the concern is certainly there for some of the rotation to potentially occur that could lead to some spin ups as well. So they have this other tornado warning that is where that initial focus was. And we have that one kind of being just narrowed down to the edge of the Delaware County area, but still the rest of Delaware County is included in that larger tornado warning now. And so they can kind of let that one expire. But we have this segment here that you can see it's making this bow shape right here. And so where there's that kind of curve on the radar, that's where the concern is right now for those strong winds to be surging. And then within that line, we could be seeing some upticks in the rotation occurring as well. And that is riding right along Highway 20 and moving into the Dyersville area, at least moving close to it. And the storm is moving rather fast. Right now, moving through Earlville and heading toward Worthington, move through Delhi and heading toward New Vienna, Petersburg, and Holy Cross would be in the mix here, as well as Farley. And then we have Hopkinton getting the brunt of it now and could still clip Cascade with some of the stronger winds as well. And we continue to see one warning that still has those 80-mile-per-hour wind potential with it, and then the rest of the warning out ahead is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So I suspect we haven't maybe seen quite as many of those updates for the or any reports of the 80-mile-per-hour winds, but the concern certainly there, we could see the winds pick up a bit as this heads to the east. And I've been talking about this morning with our forecast that we did have the storms kind of coming through. They hadn't quite organized, and we were waiting to see where kind of the intensification occurred, if it was maybe more to the east of the Mississippi. It just started to pick up around Independence, and now we do have these strong winds unfortunately occurring here in eastern Iowa and near some spots that just got hit hard on Friday. So the good news is this is moving fast. Unfortunately, this also means that we are dealing with storms that once again could be causing some destruction and could be causing some more crop damage and some more damage to homes and businesses and farms and such. But the best thing to do is to be inside and to stay out of this storm, as we have the potential for some very strong winds, as well as the potential that there could be some rotation occurring along this with that tornado threat as well. So to the north, I don't want to leave this out. We have some warnings that extend from Strawberry Point and toward Guttenberg and Cassville. That's for 70-mile-per-hour winds as well. And just on the northern side of the storm, possibility of some strong winds still occurring there. And then up by Decorah and Waukon, we also have some heavy rain, and we do have some a warning here for 60-mile-per-hour winds, some small hail and some heavy rainfall occurring there as well. Then down to the south in Cedar Rapids, I'll turn the lightning back on. We have certainly some thunder and lightning that's around the area, and that's mostly shifting now to the east. We still have some rain that's going to be coming through, and then Iowa City has been kind of split by some of this. We have rain to the southwest of Iowa City and then around Riverside, as well as just kind of surrounding Washington at the moment, and by Wayland there, with then the bulk of this, and you can just see it sticks out like a sore thumb where the collection of the lightning is happening just to the east of Manchester now, and these warnings continuing this morning. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. They're still they have a 70-mile-per-hour wind tag on a lot of these. Unfortunately, it's some pretty strong winds that can lead to power outages, that can lead to tree damage, it can lead to uprooting of small trees, that can lead to at least some large branches coming down as well. And then we also have the concern of there being some very difficult travel out on the roads, and the best thing to do is to stay inside and not be out on the streets, because this is going to be a situation where it is quite dangerous to be out on the streets, as we have some low visibility with the heavy rain, and we also have the concern that there could be some very strong winds in the mix, as well as a tornado potential that could be kind of quick spin ups that are occurring with these storms. So right now I'm going to try and see if I can take a look at any cameras. We do have our Dubuque sky cam that I'm going to see if I can get a look at. That's my phone going down. Apologies for my Facebook viewers, but we do have our camera in Dubuque. Let me see if I can turn that thing around. But currently the strong storm's still off to the west of Dubuque and going to be moving in this morning along Highway 20 and Dubuque underneath that tornado warning. So tornado, the outdoor warning sirens going off in Dubuque right now. And we have still some fairly calm conditions in Dubuque ahead of the storm because it's not really doing all that much there at the moment. I'm going to turn things to the west as the storms are approaching. But Bryce, if you want to take the sky cam there, you can take a look at what's happening in Dubuque there. But we have the still calm conditions, some darker skies, still nothing too out of the ordinary at the moment in Dubuque, but we do have a dangerous storm heading that way, and things are likely going to change rather quickly as these storms do move in, unfortunately. So the National Weather Service has been getting in a few reports of some 70-mile-per-hour winds. That was in Delaware County and Greeley. There was, let me see, 70-mile-per-hour, 2 reports of 70-mile-per-hour winds, it looks like. Trying to see Edgewood also reporting 70-mile-per-hour winds in Delaware County, and that's what's prompting those warnings to continue there. Let's see, there's also, I think, just enough concern of rotation for these storms to have these tornado warnings and the tornado possible tag. And so that's where the concern really lies here. And even up towards Strawberry Point, some rotation that's occurring on the northern side in toward Guttenberg and Cassville. There's a tornado possible tag on these warnings, along with the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds. And then we have a little bit of rotation kind of on the northern side here north of Earlville, and just some little pockets here and there, nothing that is very definitive, and so that's why it's still radar indicated, but there's still enough concern here that's leading to that potential for tornado to be possible, and that's why these tornado warnings are there. I'm going to see if I can get I can't quite get the wind speeds to show up for me, but we do have some radar indications of some very strong winds surging where those greens and reds are meeting, and that could be the wind surging outward, plus then we have some of that rotation. Now there's a little bit of interaction that's happening with these storms down to the south, so I'm hoping maybe that can kind of help break this up a little bit, where that surge of the strongest winds, it seems like kind of in the central part of the area we're seeing not as much of a defined bowing segment on the reflectivity, but there's still certainly been some strong winds there, and those are going through around Dyersville and the Field of Dreams, and hopefully not too much out there that can be tossed around as they're setting up for the, of course, MLB game, the minor league game that's going on. I know there's tournaments going on. There's a lot going on out there, and so hopefully everyone able to take shelter. It is still fairly early in the morning. I know this is the commute time for a lot of folks, and we're going to get things in the clear here soon, but if you are in these areas, Dyersville, Holy Cross, Epworth, down toward Piasta, in Dubuque, and in Bankston, and in Centralia, Sageville, Keystone, is that Keystone? Yeah, or Key West, sorry. So in these areas, you need to be in your safe place. You need to be in the lowest level of your home. You need to be staying inside. You need to wait this out. You don't want to be getting in your car. Even if you have to get to work and have your boss call me later, it's fine, because I would rather not have anybody out on the roads. And if you know someone who's out on the roads, tell them to get inside, and you want to, if they can pull off of the roads and just wait it out, but not underneath an overpass. That's also not where we want to be. We see that happen time and time again. So it looks like the storm to the north in Winnebago and Allamakee County, some good news is that that one has weakened and that warning can be canceled. But we do continue with these warnings down to the south here, and particularly the one that's keeping us here is this storm that is right now moving through Dyersville along Highway 20 and crossing Highway 136, New Vienna, and heading toward Epworth. Worthington is getting out of some of the worst of it now, but some strong winds there. And then there's still some of the southern side of the storm moving through Monticello, moving out of Hopkinton, heading toward Cascade. Some heavy rain ongoing around Monticello, and then into Jones County. Could have some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds around Scotch Grove and Onslow. And we have then the tornado warning that really that part of the storm starting to move right through Dubuque County and in toward the Dubuque area right now. So there's a warning to the north that just includes the southern part toward Cassville, southern part of Clayton County there. That is for 70 mile per hour winds still, so on the just the northern portion of that. But you can kind of see this surge that's also happening on the back side. We have this open zone right here where the winds can just surge, and so they're coming in. If the arrow could point the other direction, that would be great. But there's this open area, so this is all the wind just surging forward. So toward Farley right now, where some very strong winds are possible, and then we could also potentially have some of that rotation ongoing as well. So it looks like they're starting to trim that tornado warning a bit as well, and that's what that new update was. Continuing that radar indicated tornado, along with the potential for some strong winds and maybe some small hail in the mix. Haven't really gotten any reports. I hope, oh no, we did just get one as I say that. Farley Fire reporting 80 mile per hour winds. So that's right where I was just talking about that surge of those winds, unfortunately, right around Farley. And this is just setting up shop to go right along Highway 20. Of course, Highway 20 just scoot north. So if we take a line, and this continues going to the east, this would be straight toward the southern part of Dubuque. So it may miss at least the strongest part just south of the city of Dubuque. However, still talking about the very strong winds coming in toward the Dubuque area, but the really strongest part of this right around Farley at the moment. And so now we do have still a report of 80 mile per hour winds in Farley, and that is incredibly strong. That's heading into Epworth, and still could have some 70, maybe 80 mile per hour winds heading into Bankston, Rickersville, Holy Cross, into Centralia, Bernard, around Cascade right now, toward the Dubuque Airport, and then in toward Asbury, Piasta, Dubuque. And so especially do not want to be out on Highway 20 at the moment, and you want to make sure that you are staying indoors and away from the windows, as we have a very dangerous storm that's continuing to move into the area right now. And it's going to be super important to just stay off of the roads and not go outside as we're dealing with this very powerful thunderstorm that is moving through and going to thankfully quickly move through the area. And we do have some traffic cameras that are out right ahead of this. So I'm going to see if I can pull some things up. I am trying to do a number of things at one time, so I apologize in advance if I'm being a little slow. But this one, I'm just trying to make sure I know where I'm at. This is still well to the east toward Piasta. With this camera, I'm going to pull up here shortly once it loads. So this is around the Piasta area and Highway 20. And so this should give us a view of the storm. You can see how dark it is. I mean, it is just dark, dark, dark outside right now where the storm is approaching currently. And it's even still a bit brighter out in Dubuque. So it's not quite gotten to Dubuque yet. This is right still ahead of it, before we get to the Dubuque area and in Piasta. And so, yeah, you can see on the other side there's Dubuque, and it's still a little bit brighter where the storms have yet to arrive. And right now we have some very dark skies ongoing around the Piasta area as the storm starts to approach. So that'll give us a view there of the storms as it gets closer. So right now we do have the tornado warning continuing down to the south here for the far eastern part of Delaware and into Dubuque County. And the worst of the storm is going to be moving out of Farley and toward Epworth. So heading into Epworth right now, and we have already had reports of 80-mile-per-hour winds with this storm. This is a dangerous storm. It needs to be treated just like a tornado warning. It needs to be respected just like a tornado warning. It is under a tornado warning. We haven't had a confirmed tornado, but even as we're talking about these winds, this is a very dangerous storm that is continuing to likely, unfortunately, produce damage and could be doing some damage to crops and buildings, taking down trees, leading to power outages this morning. And we'll get some more information on that as we receive it. But currently moving closer to Dubuque and moving through Dubuque County. It's 7:55. This warning goes until 8:15, and we have the southern part of the storm also producing some strong winds around 60 to 70 miles per hour, and have some heavy rain ongoing around Scotch Grove, Onslow toward the Cascade area. And then we have along Highway 136, Temple Hill and Ozark, Otter Creek, and Lamont into portions of Jackson County there. St. Donatus, that someone just said on Facebook as well. Yes, that's in the mix here, unfortunately, for some of the stronger winds. And we have this part of the storm here that still could be producing right here in these little notches, some spin ups that could be occurring. Epworth heading toward the Dubuque area, just south of Holy Cross, and riding still along Highway 20 that will continue and continue to lead to impacts there toward Bernard right now, and along Highway 151 going to be impacted by this as well. So Highway 20, 151, and then we have is this Highway 3 is up by Holy Cross. Highway 52, I apologize. So Highway 52 coming out of Dubuque, yes. And Sherrill, Bankston, and any other towns I can throw out there, just Sageville, Asbury, Graff, Rickardsville, Piasta, so important. Fillmore, Bernard, be in your safe place. Do not leave and wait for this storm to pass. Some people saying the winds are picking up around Waterloo as well as in Mount Vernon, and so it is certainly possible on the back side of this we're seeing some gusty winds right on the edge of these storms, but the at least currently severe storms and the significant storms are ongoing to the east of the Cedar Rapids area, east now of Independence, and continuing that way. So just make sure you're checking on your friends and family in these areas where it's moved through around Independence. Ryan and Manchester potentially could have some more damage after we just had those storms that came through on Friday. And then we have these storms that now are continuing into Dubuque County. So they're trimming this back now to include just Dubuque County here and kind of zeroing in on the area just around Holy Cross to Epworth and into Dubuque proper, and going to be likely seeing some darker skies now around Dubuque and seeing a few drops on our camera here as well. And let me see, back to our probably rocking now on this camera that we that I was just looking at. Let's see, starting to see definitely some more dark skies here, and yeah, you can see some of the rain starting to come down in Dubuque. And I'm trying to pull up these other cameras, but let's see, right around Centralia, east of Piasta. It's still a little bit of a ways away from these cameras, I think, but We have some heavy rain that's going to lead to low visibility. There are some people on the streets. There's not a ton of activity on the streets, but I know that there's certainly going to be some more people that have to head out, especially around 8 o'clock or so. So if you can just hang inside, if you're in Dubuque County and into the far eastern part of Jones County and into Jackson County, just wait for this to move through over the next really like 15 minutes. And then we will still have some gusty winds and a little bit of rain on the backside, but a lot of the dangerous part of the storm going to continue to push to the east here now. In terms of the wind potential, we have